What is one habit that you keep trying to start or stop more times than you can count, but you can't quite get it to stick? Maybe it's setting your intentions or thinking more positively so you could pull a fortune cookie every day. This is a stack of ones that I have. This one says, embrace a positive attitude and you'll conquer any obstacle. I love that. So maybe your goal is to think more positively. Maybe your goal is to move more or stretch more. So you can start simply with doing shoulder rolls or neck circles. Both of these demonstrate the concept that whether we're shooting big or starting small, the goal is that we should start small to get to that big goal. The 2-minute rule, never missing twice, are small steps that can lead to lasting success. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Welcome back to our Morning Reset series. If you're new here, I'm Melon. I'm one of the hosts here at Vitality Social Network, and I lead a morning series on how to build habits and start your day productively because it's something that I am personally working on applying what I've learned from the Atomic Habits book that I read probably 2 years ago. It's a bestseller and it's great concepts, but I've been trying to actually apply it to my everyday life and also share what I'm working on with others. So hopefully that we can support each other as a community to become the people we want to be and reach all of our goals, whether they're big or small. I also teach an evening series on how to use AI to increase productivity. And tonight we're going to be continuing with how to use AI to get a job. So for today, I would love to hear from you. Let me know what goal you're trying to accomplish or what habit you're trying to either break or make stick in the comments, whether you're here live with us. Thank you for being here, or you're on the replay. By the end of the episode, I will be sure to help you specifically, or we can address it in the next morning episode. I definitely want it to be a process where we're all working to support each other together. So if I can apply the teachings to your goal specifically, I would love to help you do that. You can also join our Discord if you want a supportive community once the show is over. All right, so let's jump in. Today, we're going to be answering two questions that almost everyone struggles with. First is, how do I effectively get started with building a new habit? And then, what do I do when I inevitably mess up? Most people don't fail because they're lazy or they're unmotivated. They fail because they either try to change too much at once and it's unsustainable, or once they have an imperfect day, that convinces them that they've failed completely and there's no reason to try again tomorrow, so they fall back into their old routine. So today we're going to learn how to make a habit easy and easy to start and then easy to restart. So if you mess up, no problem, you can always get back on the horse. So I'm going to demonstrate this concept with my whiteboard. You see it looks like a staircase, right? Let's say that your goal is to run a marathon. That would be starting at the top of the staircase. Marathon. Okay, if you're down here to begin, how often do you just jump completely from the bottom step to the very top step? Not a very successful way to climb the stairs. You need to think about taking it step by step. So you might start as small as, you know, put my shoes on every morning because normally I just walk around the house in my pajamas barefoot. So we start with just getting dressed, getting ready for the activity that we want to accomplish. Or maybe it's pack your gym bag and then go to the gym more or go on a walk. So you can think about starting small with, a quick walk outside of your house. If you have never ran a mile in, let's say, under 12 minutes in your life, then maybe instead of starting with the marathon, you got to build up your endurance and your ability to do this successfully by just starting walking every day. And then you can shoot for goals like maybe 5 miles and then 10 miles. and then you'll be more easily able to accomplish running your marathon. So again, where do you start on the staircase? Are you starting at the bottom with the simple steps, or are you starting at the very top with the challenging steps? Instead of saying, I'll read for an hour every day, maybe you begin with, I will start with 5 minutes every day. And that way, whenever you accomplish that goal, you feel proud of yourself, you feel like you achieved it, and then you're more likely to keep the momentum going of doing that every day. And slowly you can add on to that. Maybe it's 10 minutes next time, maybe it's half an hour, and then an hour every day. So it's important to just build towards your goals. Some other examples would be maybe you're trying to drink more water. So you start at the bottom of the staircase with just filling up your water bottle and then placing it next to your bed. So then when you wake up every morning, you're able to drink the water instead of having to get up and go to the kitchen and start completely from fresh. Like we talked about in our other episodes, you're more likely to be successful if you set your environment up for success as well. Yeah, I agree with that. Someone says with going to the gym, sometimes you have to start with just showing up, right? Maybe you don't even have a plan for what you're going to do at the gym, what you're going to accomplish that day, what muscle group you're going to work out. You have to start with just get to the gym. And that's a great place to start. So, really, what we're going to be talking about today is the 2-minute habit rule. Sometimes the 2-minute habit is not the habit itself, it's simply the thing that gets you moving and helps kickstart that momentum so that you can snowball towards the actual goal of losing 20 pounds, right? So it's going to be hard to lose 20 pounds if you don't take the first step on your walk, or if you don't just get yourself to the gym, or if you don't switch out one healthy meal for an unhealthy meal. Consider those bite-sized steps that make it easy for you to begin and easy for you to sustain. If anybody else has other examples, I would love to hear it. One that I'm thinking of would be maybe your goal is to meditate more. That's a goal that I've been working on specifically. And I think, okay, I want to meditate for an hour, but I also have ADHD. And so the thought of me sitting down, silently clearing my mind for an hour would probably not be very achievable in the beginning. So it's okay to start with 2 minutes of trying to clear your mind and not let it be pulled off into another direction, right? And then you're more likely to feel like, okay, I am able to meditate. I can do this. And then you can slowly add a little bit more time each time. You could even start smaller than 2 minutes and say, I'm just going to start with sitting down and closing my eyes and relaxing. That's those baby steps on the staircase. This concept actually came up for me when I was in counseling this week. It's one of the reasons that I wanted to share it because it somehow connected perfectly to what I was reading in the Atomic Habits and wanted to share. So I've been telling my counselor I want to have a better routine, for my week, for my day, for my morning, for my evening. I feel like I never do the same things twice. And so every day I wake up, I have to think about what am I trying to accomplish today? And in every single step on the staircase, get up, get dressed, put your clothes on, brush your teeth. And every single one of those steps it takes brain power for me to consider. Whereas if I had a routine and the habits in place, then I would able to just get up and follow the staircase, and by the end of the morning, I'm ready and I've eaten and I have positive energy, and so I'm ready to continue my day instead of sleeping in, which is something that I struggle with. So my counselor said, instead of trying to redesign your entire life, how about we think about how we can make the next good choice a little bit easier? So instead of thinking I'm going to wake up and become an entirely productive person today, We focused on the tiny steps. So for me, that started with, okay, when I wake up, the first thing that I'm going to do is go make a beverage because I feel good about myself when I've had like a healthy juice or a tea or something like that. And I normally let my dogs out first thing in the morning, so I'll pair those, I'll stack those habits and make my healthy beverage, let the dogs out, and then go sit on the porch and drink it for 5 minutes. So before I've given myself something that maybe is a little challenging, like I don't love to get in the shower, I don't love to brush my teeth, to be honest, I'm going to start with the habit I like and gives my brain dopamine and feels like positive momentum to get started for my day. So once I've successfully accomplished drinking my healthy beverage and letting my dogs out, being a good dog mom, then after that, then I'll go back inside and start my day. Take the next step of brushing my teeth, smiling in the mirror, having self-love. Those little tiny steps are what we worked on. And then again, it's not the habit I'm trying to build is not necessarily drink tea every morning. My overall goal was to have a productive morning routine, but I had to start with those tiny steps that just get me moving and get me started and help me feel successful in the goal that I'm trying to accomplish. Now, it's important to remember as well, like we've talked about in previous episodes, that every action is a vote for the kind of person that you're becoming. And we're striving to become 1% better every single day. So then by the end of a year, we are 37 times better than where we started. And the opposite is that if we were 1% worse every day, we would end up in the negatives, worse than when we started, right? So we don't want that. We want to be able to just take those small, tiny steps that keep us moving in the right direction. And, you know, just drinking my tea every morning and that's it, that's a success. That's a great place to start because at least I got out of bed. At least I got out of the house and got some sun. At least I got some nutrients in my body. So I don't have to accomplish the whole morning routine successfully right in the beginning, but I need to at least start. And that one step that I took is a vote for becoming someone that is more productive. Or maybe you woke up and you actually drank your water that morning, first thing in the morning. So that's a vote for becoming someone who cares for their body. Or maybe you read 5 minutes today instead of 0 minutes, and that's a vote for becoming someone who reads a lot. So identity grows through repetition, not intensity. So you need to think of those small steps that you can easily repeat every day. Another tiny strategy that we talked about for me personally in therapy was not wearing the same clothes every day or every part of my day. I'm separating my home clothes or my work clothes from my outside clothes. Or maybe it's the opposite, my home clothes, my pajamas from my outside or work clothes. Yeah, that's right. So it sounds like a small change, but changing my clothes can become a cue. It tells my brain, okay, you're leaving the house now. There's no going back to bed. You're dressed and presentable for the day. You must be going out or you must be starting your work day. Even if you're working from home, don't just stay in your pajamas. And of course, the opposite is that, okay, you're home now, you can relax, you can reset, you can curl up in bed and just hang out in your pajamas because you're in your home clothes. So sometimes the environment can carry part of the motivation for us. So it helps to just take those small bite-sized steps. A tiny action might not look very impressive from the outside, but it does prove that you can keep a promise to yourself and that you can slowly work towards becoming the person that you want to be. Whether it's the clothes or the tea or the reading or just getting to the gym, even if you don't have a plan. These are not necessarily dramatic transformations, but they're signals to our brain that motivate us and make the next action step even more obvious on what we need to do next. So, the next question I want you to think to yourself is, what is one cue you already have in your day that you could use as a reminder. So maybe one thing that you already do every day is get up and drink your coffee. What is one thing you definitely do every single morning? That's the question that you always do without thinking. It's natural. Maybe it's grab your phone and look at your phone. What is it? So, if you know it and you can answer that question, then that helps us think about what is the next obvious step and how can we pair what we want to do with what we already do. So maybe your goal is to journal more and you naturally, without thinking, grab your phone every morning when the alarm goes off and already check your notifications. Maybe it could help you to put your journal right on top of your phone or right next to your coffee machine. So that way, whenever you do the thing you naturally do without thinking, your brain will also be cued to do the thing that you want to start doing and pair them together. So now, before I can even look at my phone, I'm going to do journaling about my dreams or my intentions for the day for 2 minutes, and then I'll be able to check my phone as my reward. Or maybe it's while you're drinking your coffee, instead of scrolling through your phone, I'll drink my coffee and journal for 2 minutes. And then we can start our day. Then we can take the next step. So, habit stacking is a concept that will help make these tiny changes even more achievable. Starting small solves the first problem, but what happens when you've been doing well and you're taking your steps, baby steps at a time, and then you have a day where life happens and your alarm didn't go off. So you couldn't do your morning routine this morning. You just flew out of bed, threw your clothes on, and ran right out the door. Or what happens where when you started your goal of eating healthy, you gave yourself zero cheat days. You said, I'm going to eat perfectly healthy every single day. I started too big. And then I missed a day where somebody brought me some cake that they made from home and I ate it. And now I'm feeling really guilty and feeling down on myself. So I think, well, I might as well just quit. I already failed. I gave myself no cheat days, and so I had a cheat day, and now there's no reason to get back on the horse. I might as well just keep failing, right? And that is the point where most people accidentally quit because they get demotivated and they start thinking down on themselves that because I missed a step, there's no reason to continue. So here's something you should ask yourself. Okay, back to the staircase. Just imagine this is a regular staircase for now. What happens when you're going down the stairs and you accidentally miss a step? And you're like, whoop, and you have that awkward moment of fumbling, but the next step caught you. And fortunately, you're already kind of towards the bottom, so you didn't completely fly down the stairs. And then you could just continue on like normal. Okay, fine. We can work with that, right? But then what happens if you miss two steps? So whether you're trying to go up the staircase or down the staircase, it just got significantly harder. So if you miss twice, you're less likely to continue on the staircase the way that you intend. Because now you're thinking, I'm starting here. Oh my gosh, and it's going to be so hard, and I've already failed this many times. Look at the hurdles ahead of me. Clearly, I can't do it. There's no reason to continue. You start getting all those self-doubt thoughts. It's going to be so difficult to climb the stairs while skipping two staircases, two steps at a time. One step I could deal with, but now two. So you want to consider that whenever you're starting your new habit. First, we're starting with small steps that feel relatively easy to achieve. And then never miss twice. One misstep is not going to destroy the staircase. It's just one misstep. But when we miss again at that next opportunity, we begin creating momentum in the opposite direction of what we want. Missing once is just life. Things happen. You overslept that day. No big deal. Keep going. It's fine. You can try again tomorrow. But when you miss twice, That's when a whole new pattern can begin, and you're retraining your brain in the opposite direction. So the goal is not perfection. The goal is returning quickly and going back to taking those small steps in the right direction. So ask yourself, are you the kind of person that if I miss reading for the day, if I miss going to the gym for the day, do you get down on yourself and think there's no reason to try again? Most people will get up and try again. But once you miss 2, 3 days in a row, you're not really building a new habit anymore. Maybe, maybe trying a new activity once a week, but it's not going to stick as something that's a routine part of your life, supporting who you want to become. So consistency is key. When I was in counseling, we also planned my evening after work. So what we did was we created a full daily routine. I was thinking this might be something I actually share with you in future episodes. If you're working on your routine, we could plan one out together. So we planned my morning time block, then I have work or being productive through the day, and then we have my evening routine after work. So first thing I do when I get home now, I'm thinking I always let the dogs out. So I'm going to pair letting the dogs out with making food. So I'll think those are happening at the same time. And then after I get to eat my dinner, then I have to shower. Because to be honest, that's the part that I don't like. It takes a lot of talking myself up to getting in the shower. So if I accomplish that, I'm already naturally going to let my dogs out and eat dinner. That's what I do without thinking. It's just what happens. Then after that, I'm going to get right in the shower. So before I unwind and sit down and watch TV for the day, I'm going to take off my outside clothes, get in the shower, and then once I accomplish that part that I don't really love to do, then I can reward myself with a TV show and relaxing and doing what I like to do. So instead of relying just on motivation, we can actually change the sequence of what I'm used to. So I originally pitched to her, oh, I'll eat dinner, and while I eat, I'll watch TV, and then when I'm done, I'll take a shower. I'll get to that. And she was like, no, no, since you don't like to do that, we need to actually switch them. So, do the hard thing first and then reward yourself with the thing that you love to do and comes easily for you because the likelihood of you starting to watch Supernatural for 2 or 3 hours and then forcing yourself to stop that and get in the shower is pretty small. It's not likely to happen. So it helps to think the reward comes after the action that I tend to avoid. So is there some type of action that you tend to avoid that's hard for you to accomplish every day? That's a good question to ask yourself. You can let me know in the comments. And then on future episodes, we can talk about how we can apply a new routine to both your goal and, the things that you like to do and the things that you don't like to do, and how we can organize it in an effective sequence so that it's easy for you to build momentum and climb the staircase towards the ultimate goal you want to achieve or to become the person that you want to become. And then again, if I miss my routine one evening, there's one evening where I'm just like exhausted from work and I let my dogs out, I make food, and then I just watch TV and I skip the shower. That's life. It doesn't mean that I stop taking care of myself, but the next day I need to return to the sequence, return to the plan instead of waiting for next week to start over. We just got to get back on the horse the very next day. And the healthy habits don't have to feel like a punishment. Tea outside, fresh clothes, music, or a favorite show, any of those things that you like to do and can add dopamine and momentum and positive motivation to your day, that can make the new routine satisfying. Your brain begins connecting the routine with something that you actually enjoy doing instead of only the new effort and the challenging thing that you have to start doing. A plane is not perfectly on course every second. Wind pushes it, weather changes, and the pilot keeps making small corrections the whole time. So, consistency is not a perfectly straight line. It's a series of corrections and a series of trying to take the small step to do the right thing. So when you mess up, instead of thinking, oh, I ruined everything and that choice didn't match my goal and, I'll do it next time, instead of saying I'm lazy, try to think I'm learning how to return faster. Back to the staircase, I want you to think about like, if you just look at this visually, what do your eyes notice first? Probably the big X's, right? And your brain works the same way. Many of us are going to notice that X first, but there are at least three wins here. Maybe two misses, but three wins. So it really helps to try retraining our brain to focus on the wins. One rough morning doesn't erase who you are becoming. So don't let one mistake tell the whole story. Try to start intentionally acknowledging your wins and the things that you did well and rewarding yourself for them or telling a friend about it, hyping yourself up. You can even, if you would like, join our group Discord and let us know what goals you're trying to accomplish there so our community can support you with strategies or just celebrating your accomplishments. We would love to do that with you. What I would love to know is your 2-minute habit that you're going to try next. So, we've been thinking about what is our big picture goal and how can I get there. So, think of it like tomorrow I'm going to take one small step. What is that step? If you would like help, again, let me know and I'll help you break this down in the next conversation. And then you can also name, if you think, of your first 2-minute habit, start stacking it. So, what is the next opportunity immediately after that? What is the next realistic moment that you can actually do that 2-minute version? When can you put it in your day that you'll be more likely to accomplish it? A habit becomes real, it becomes easy and attainable when it has a home or a place in your routine. And then, of course, remember, start small. Write out your staircase. So I would love for you to draw the staircase on a piece of paper, have your big goal at the top, and then consider what your small goals in that direction will be and how you'll accomplish that. Oh, that's a great goal. 2 minutes of undivided attention to my kids. I love that goal. I hear from my sister that sometimes after a long day at work as a teacher with special needs kids, sometimes you can be overwhelmed. And while you provided that undivided attention all day to those kids, it's a little bit challenging to then come home and keep it up for your own kids as much as we wish that weren't the case. And so that is a great way to start. Instead of thinking, I'm going to spend an hour every single night, can you start with just 2 minutes? And then you'll be able to build the momentum and feel that I did that successfully. And that's what we want. We want to build that positive momentum in your brain. So that's an example of a fantastic 2-step habit. This week, if you're thinking about what habits or routines you want to start, again, shrink it down until it feels almost impossible to avoid. And then if life happens and you miss it once, don't punish yourself and wait for next week. Just keep going up the staircase. Take the next available step to continue the momentum. Your job is not to be perfect. Your job is to protect the pattern that you're trying to build so that you can start doing it consistently. Today was not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming persistent. You really don't need to leap to the top of the staircase, right? You only need to take the next step. And when you stumble, you're not back to the bottom. The staircase is still there. So small steps in your process will help create strong comebacks. Before you go, I would love to hear your biggest takeaway in the comments. And if you know anybody that would benefit from this conversation, then please share it with them. Any and all engagement helps our small community grow, and we really appreciate that. I appreciate you being here today. Anyone that is watching this, thank you so much. Even if you're a quiet watcher and you're not in the comments, I really appreciate you being here. And again, my name is Melon, and I host this morning reset series almost every morning, at least a few times a week. And I plan to schedule out the days that I'll be here so my mind feels that sense of urgency to show up and make sure I follow through with it. So you'll know in advance if I'm going to do a live stream because I'll go ahead and schedule it out on the YouTube page. And same thing with my evening series or with series by our other hosts in the network. You'll be able to see that. So please subscribe and follow along and join the series that you feel like would best fit your schedule or be easiest for you to attend or most relevant to what you're working on in your life. And we would love to have you there. But until then, think about what you're going to do for the next 2 minutes and have a great rest of your day. Take care. Oh, love that takeaway. Pair the next habit that you're going to do with one you already do. Great takeaway. Bye, everybody.